Welcome to the meeting of the New Britain Township Board of Supervisors for August 3rd, 2026. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to make a motion to appoint the chair as Cynthia Jones.
Second.
All those in favor? Oh, sorry. So I said I would like to make a motion, so I would like to call that for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it.
Mr. Flager, is that allowable?
Yeah, under the code, the board is free to elect their officers anytime. Yeah, it's a legal vote.
Okay,
We can move at another time.
okay.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Bridget Kuhnekorn as vice chair.
Second.
All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Motion is carried. Okay. Thank you, Board of Supervisors. Chair comments. The board met in executive session for litigation and personnel issues. Okay, agenda, presentation and public hearings. First, we have an open space plan presentation.
We also met about labor negotiations.
Later.
No, it's okay.
Yep.
Hello,
Good evening.
good evening. I'm Mike Rodig. I'm Executive Director of the Bucks County Planning Commission. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the township's newly updated open space plan. So, why have we developed a new open space plan? Couple reasons. We want to evaluate the success of the existing open space plan and program. We want to review and refine the goals and acquisition strategies of previous plans. We want to develop a plan for future acquisitions, including acquisition guidelines and techniques and overall plan recommendations. And we want to provide a reset to the program to ensure future acquisitions remain in keeping with the program's goals. So the township has a long history of open space preservation. We extending back to 1996, which coincides with the county's open space program, which provided funding to municipalities for open space acquisition. In late 2023, New Britain Township identified the need to assess this program. And over the next 2+ years, the BCPC has partnered with the Open Space Committee to develop this plan. Okay. Moving on to existing conditions. The plan begins with an evaluation of existing conditions. We examine demographic data. The slide's not exactly clear, but this is a graphic that's available in the plan. Takes a look at the percentage of residents 65 years and older, residents that are under the age of 19, and a comparison of the median household income of New Britain Township to Bucks County as a whole. We also have median age comparisons to Bucks County. And then we have a graph showing the township's population growth since 1950. Land use wise, 33% of the township is dedicated to natural resource land. And this is mostly Peace Valley Park. Residential land follows with 30% of land use, and then followed by 21% of agricultural land use. We also included maps for natural resources We included an inventory of historic resources. So these are all the listed National Register, the National Register listed and eligible historic properties. And we also map these resources as well. So one of the biggest challenges of this plan was pinning down the properties that the township has actually preserved. So I spoke to that long history that the township has in preserving land. But there were several sources that the township was sort of relying on in terms of evaluating the open space properties that they had already preserved. So we had to work with the Open Space Committee on taking those various sources and bringing them together into a single inventory for the township's use in future preservation activities. So, for example, this was one of the resources that I was given by the Open Space Committee. A couple committee members had taken this particular map that was a parcel-based map. I know it says street classification map, but it was useful for them because it was parcel-based. And so what they did is they were able to go around the township and figure out all the various conservation easements and all the various properties throughout the township. So I was able to take this resource along with some other lists of conservation easements that the township had and make them into a single inventory. So we have an Excel spreadsheet now that shows each of the open space properties, including parcel number, parcel address, ownership, acreage, whether there's a conservation easement on it or not, whether it's a township park, or perhaps it was preserved through the county's open space program. And we can see that list visually up on this map here. So this is a map of the preserved land of New Britain Township. So in green, we have Bucks County open space. So the beige is conservation easements. I should say the light beige. Then we have Peace Valley Park. The darker beige is Township Park, and then the orange is other township property. So that is that inventory in a visual form. So another task for this plan was ensuring that public opinion remains supportive of open space preservation and understanding the nuances in how people view preservation efforts. So the BCPC, we subcontracted with ETC, a national survey company, to provide a statistically valid survey of township residents. The goal of the survey was to gather 300 responses, but due to community interest, we received 418. So we had these are just some highlights from that survey. 94% of respondents stated that the New Britain Township should preserve open space to protect and enhance woodlands, streams, wetlands, fields, meadows, and other natural resources. 88% of respondents indicated that protecting wildlife was an important reason to preserve open space. 83% said stopping development and preventing suburban sprawl was an important reason for preserving open space. On the other side, 36% of residents were aware, only 36% of residents are aware that there is a voter-approved earned income tax for the purchase of land for open space. And 31% of respondents disagreed or strongly disagreed with the statement, New Britain Township's conservation efforts are effectively communicated with the public. So the full survey results, although they're already available on the township website, we're going to also put them as an addendum in this open space plan. Okay, so now we kind of figured out where we are. Now we want to figure out, well, where do we want to go? This brings us to the second part of the plan. The plan starts with this second part of the plan starts with a plan vision, which is essentially the same as from 2000. What we did was add a goal for open space preservation, 2,500 acres of township acreage as our updated open space goal. And I think this is about 1,000 acres more than the township currently has. Okay. So another section of this plan is to look at related planning efforts. So we looked at plans such as the Township Comprehensive Plan, the Bucks 2040 Vision Comprehensive Plan, the County Open Space and Greenway Plan, the Natural Areas Inventory, and the Tri-Municipal Master Trail and Greenway Plan. And so these plans and this review provided a understanding of local and regional priorities and gave us perspective on the systems environments that interact with the township. So these were, I guess, these are important complements to the township's open space program. So it's really critical that we take a look and understand the goals of those plans. So we also included acquisition guidelines. They are somewhat self-explanatory and obvious, but guidelines and criteria can help open space acquisitions remain in keeping with the goals of the plan and goals of the program. So our 5 different criteria for acquisition were parcel availability, parcel size, connections, the resources that existed on the land, and adjacency to open space. Our top task force recommendations, including raising program awareness, creating an open space database, and monitoring conservation easements, identifying properties for preservation, engaging with property owners, using conservation easements, forming partnerships, and supporting trail development. So under raise program awareness, as we mentioned before, there's not a lot of awareness of there's not as much awareness as I would believe that the township would want in terms of their open space program. So we think that, providing better visibility will help build resident trust and connect with willing property owners. So the program promotion right now relies on the township newsletter and a dedicated website page. So we've included in the plan ideas such as developing an interactive map for trails and acquisitions, providing roadside plaques on preserved properties to thank property owners for their participation in the program. And then we think that a good local event to promote the open space program is the Environmental Advisory Council's annual Fall Festival. So this second recommendation, I think, is one of the more critical recommendations that come out of the plan. The township currently lacks a comprehensive system to track conserved properties, dates preserved, methods preserved, and deed restrictions on the property. So we talked about the inventory we compiled that can serve as a baseline for such a database, but the township still must search both township files and recorder of deeds records to understand any of the restrictions that are on the property. So regular oversight of properties that have been conserved is really important to ensure that any easement restrictions on the property are being followed. And this ensures trust in the program so people understand, hey, look, I know that property's been preserved. I know that the township is watching those properties, ensuring that the conservation easements on those properties are being followed. And then so establishing a more organized database will allow the township to launch a formal easement monitoring program. Another recommendation is identifying properties for preservation. So we included a number of maps in this plan, agricultural, soils map, natural resources maps, historic resources map, and all these can help narrow properties of focus for the program. And then we also recommend that any serious consideration of a property for inclusion in the program should include a detailed site analysis. Another important aspect of an open space program is property engagement. The plan recommends a clear and respectful strategy that should follow the identification of potential properties. Such outreach should show the process, the easement rules, restrictions, and financial benefits to property owners. We should be able to share preservation success stories to help build trust with landowners. And then having items like pre-prepared brochures and sample easement language can help give owners time to deliberate on, preserving their property, at their leisure. Securing that very first conservation conversation with the property owner was one of the things that the Open Space Committee talked about a lot. And that is one of the big challenges for the open space program. One of the ideas was that, maybe bring in existing participants in the program that have already conserved their land to help introduce and engage new property owners. Again, this is more of an obvious recommendation, but use conservation easements, properties in conservation with the conservation easement on them, rather than that fee simple ownership. That property remains with the owner, so they're responsible for management of that property. And, for example, farmers can continue agricultural operations and the sale of agricultural products, and the reduced property value can bring tax benefits to those farmers. And then obviously conservation easements are less costly than outright purchase. Another recommendation is to form partnerships. We have a new program with the Bucks County Land Preservation Program, and that's the Bucks County Municipal Partnership. So essentially what it does is it combines municipal funds with county allocations to secure more dollars in grants and therefore preserve more acreage. The county is responsible for technical expenses, handles the operational workload of evaluating properties, and it takes over all future inspection, monitoring, and legal enforcement duties for easement violations. Another partnership that the township could engage in is with a local conservation organization and land trust. These land trusts can hold the conservation easements directly to ensure natural and agricultural resources stay protected. So they would be responsible for monitoring that easement. And then you could utilize their expertise in resource management and monitoring so that they could be responsible for monitoring those properties and minimize that drain on township staff and resources. And then our last recommendation is to support trail development. This plan talks about the Tri-Municipal Master Trail Plan. And we note that the township has recently completed the Neshaminy Greenway Trail on lands that were acquired using township open space funds. So you can see how open space planning and trail development are very complementary to each other. And then so we recommend that the township continue to coordinate open space acquisition with future trail development. And so finally, we have an Appendix A. That's one of our appendices, other than the survey. And in that appendix, we have a list of funding and assistance sources. So these funding and assistance sources can help fill in some of those open space preservation gaps. And we listed out by grant program, organization, eligible applicants, and the purpose of the program. So that is our newly updated open space plan. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, thank you very much. That seems like a very comprehensive open space plan. And I know that if we pass it tonight, it'll be available on our website tomorrow or this week.
Yes.
Yep. And then
we have to make one little correction
Oh.
that Alex had noted to me today. And it's just a sentence that has been repeated. We're just going to take that out. I know that's not substantive, so
Yeah.
I think we should be good there.
Okay, great. I do have one question.
Mhm.
How have you seen other municipalities do the database so that people are able to easily see what properties are conserved and how?
Yeah, so if you're looking to, raise the awareness of the program and put a database online, sometimes communities will do like a simple GIS database.
Mhm.
I know Silbury Township has a publicly available GIS database,
Mhm.
which would allow you to click on layers and
Yep.
see township properties, see other preserved properties.
Okay, is that something, Alex, I know that we were talking about, was it the zoning?
Map.
the zoning map? Would that be one of the layers that could be put on that zoning map?
I think so.
Was. Okay, all right, thank you.
Didn't we make that map showing preserved spaces, and that is in the plan, I think.
That's in the plan, yes,
Okay.
yes. And this would be more of an interactive type map, say, you could put the trail system on there and you could just put that as a layer of the trail system, or say you want to put some natural resources on there as well and see how these types of things connect. And it allows the user a little more flexibility, and it might be even useful to open space preservation efforts. Yeah.
Any other questions from our board?
Just a creative idea. I think one of our main issues has been communicating, like you pointed out in the survey results, communicating that people know we have, a voter approved open space tax. Do they know that they could even conserve their property? I think getting the word out to the people with these larger properties that might be interested has been our tricky area where we're struggling. We've might send letters or something, but how else, what other creative ways can we encourage people to ask about this and inquire about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge. One of the recommendations is a sign program so that property owners.
You'd love that sign program idea. Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you for
there's some
conserving.
expense with
Yeah.
that, but
I think that
it
adds.
really gives recognition to those property owners, and it somewhat raises their community standing because people know how.
It's a nice
look,
little
that-
thank you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I have been pushing for that and for delineation of all conserved spaces on privately owned parcels that were conserved by deed
Yeah.
when they were put in there. And unfortunately, we haven't progressed to that point. So.
Yeah, I think it's a critical part of the program because you don't know what's happening out there. And the more awareness helps you enforce the language that's in the easement, and then maintain that trust to the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just thank you. That was it.
Thank you.
I just want to take the opportunity to thank the Open Space Committee who worked so hard on this. Kathleen Davis, who's not here tonight, Mary Margaret Briggs,
Thank you.
and of course, the person that did a lot of work to make these maps possible, who was at the courthouse looking up deeds and searching
Mhm.
conservation easements, is Lucy Jones, who's here tonight, and thank you.
Lucy.
It's been a long 3-year slug, but it's finally done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure working with New Britain Township. Really was.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just have to follow up. I agree. We've been trying to work so hard with what's the type of deed restriction? I get that question asked a lot of, so the interactive part, that database, probably majority of it's private conservation easements that Mary Beth mentioned are deed restricted. People think that they're public, just like High Point Development, that's all. We preserved a lot of land over there, but that's not owned by the township. People don't know that. I think if they had the ability to click on it, it probably saved the township staff a lot of headaches. We get that all the time about what can I do with my property? What's this easement? And some interactive part, and also then that database where it's actually a majority is private ownership. There's some that aren't even on here where they just volunteer to deed restrict from further development. They're allowed to do what they want, anything else with natural resources, but people see conservation easement and assume that they can't touch the rest of the property. It means they just can't build on it with a structure, but they could take down trees, they can disturb the land.
Yeah, and
It's very confusing if there's
Yeah, and I
nothing.
think it's really important to know what the language actually
What
says.
are the restrictions on each property? If they could just click on, I think that's a
Yeah.
big step for this township we've gone far enough now with all these smaller pieces of deed restriction and conservation uses without having to know what they can and can't do on that property.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example. Like our farmland preservation program, it's the easement language in that program versus our open space preservation program is different. And so the farmland preservation is very restrictive, whereas some of the open space language is a little bit less restrictive. So I think it's really important to know what's actually in each and every one of those.
I think Nick asked already twice, what's the restrictions on this property? And that's where the solicitor's office and, if you're not here as long as I've been, I have to still even look it up occasionally. So having something where what's even the financial restrictions? How was it acquired is a
Yeah.
big part of it too, yes.
Yeah, and there are new tools out there that you can put that stuff all in one
Yep.
database, and that'd be a wonderful tool for the township to have.
I do know that from the EAC, they have sent out some, or not, they have not sent out, they've advised us of some properties that they would like to see started with the open space, and I know that we have already started with those letters, and hopefully it will be a fruitful program. So,
Absolutely.
anything else from the board? No?
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there anybody from the township who would like, from the audience who would like to come up? If you could come up and state your name, please.
Hi, my name is Lucy, is this on? My name is Lucy Jones, and I did help with the map with the dots. And I found that repeated sentence. So I really like this open space plan, and I'd really like to see it implemented tonight. Can you add some kind of caveat that if there's any other errors, they could be corrected, those kinds of errors?
just like
I would hate to see the whole thing published
Mm-hmm.
and put out there with errors. I looked through it really quickly and I found that and another thing, and I thought, let's get this right. So can you pass it with reservations? Grammatical.
Grammatical
Correct.
reservations.
Errors as
needed.
Absolutely. Is there anybody else who'd like to ask a question or make a comment? No? Thank you very much for coming today, and thank you so much for working with our
you.
committee on this
Thank
great.
you. It really was a pleasure working with the township.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Okay. Agenda item 5, motion to consider consent agenda. We have A, approved minutes of July 13, 2026 Board of Supervisors meeting. We have B, approved regular bills list dated July 29, 2026 for a total amount of $150,835.67. And C, approved prepaid bills list dated July 16, July 23, July 29, 2026 for the amount of $248,404.59. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, action items. A, consider a motion to adopt the New Britain Township Open Space Plan.
I'll make that motion
I'll
to
second.
adopt it.
I have a second. Any other questions or comments from the board? No?
With the caveat of any minor error. Sorry, let me be really specific.
Yep. Okay. Any questions or comments from the public? No? Is there anything you guys want to add? No? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Opposed?
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Opposed. I heard all 5 ayes, so I can count. Okay. Action item B, discussion of emergency medical services. Nick, would you like to start us off, please?
Absolutely. Good evening, supervisors. So as the public may be aware, our emergency medical services have gotten a lot of attention locally lately. So the board wanted to make this a discussion item and especially assure the public that this is an issue that we are paying very careful attention to. Just to make the public aware, I have been here for about 6 weeks total. And this is something that I've gotten my rolled up my sleeves on. On behalf of the board, I sent a correspondence to the leadership of Shalbrit EMS, just requesting, recognizing that there's been a lot of activity over the last 6 months since they've gone public with some of their financial concerns. Just simply looking for some additional financial information and really also trying to find some planning documents just to see if they're moving in the right trajectory. Part of the urgency to discuss this are some of our neighboring municipalities who were also serviced by Shalbrit recently made decisions to change their service provider. And so we know that some folks locally have this as a topic of interest. And so really wanted to advise the board in a public setting what activity has been going on at the administrative level. And currently, staff is not advising the board to make any substantive decisions. One thing that is relevant for this township, which is a little bit different from some other communities, is that the 134 station, which is just across the parking lot, is actually on township property. And so there is a legal relationship there for that station. which certainly changes the ability for the township to make any service decisions. It's a little bit different for this township. That lease agreement is coming to the end of its 20-year initial term next year. And so regardless of the current situation, it is something that the township should be paying some more attention to, especially as that legal relationship needs to be refreshed in the next 12 months.
Thank you. We have our representative here. Mike Heffron, would you like to come forward, please? Yep,
Yep,
go
absolutely.
for it.
Thank you
Yep.
so much for being here, Mike.
First off,
Yep.
thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
Mhm.
Thank you for being here. And thank my wife for putting up with this.
And we thank you for jumping into such a delicate situation so quickly and with such dedication.
Yeah, let me, if I may, I was appointed to the board of Shalbert EMS in January based on a unanimous vote by the Board of Supervisors. It is my position, what I am doing on that board is fully in respect of and in ownership of New Britain Township.
Mhm.
You are the reason. Secondly, the residents of New Britain Township. And thirdly, every other resident that Shalbert covers. As I said, my name is Michael Heffron. I'm going to give you a quick biography because you don't all know me. This past January, as I said, I was appointed as a representative. I have been involved in emergency services since 1978 here. My wife and I moved into Britain Township in 1976. And I think the only person in this room that might have me beat is Bill. I'm not even sure about that
Maybe.
because our kids played soccer together. We did move away for a few years, but came back because this is home. New Britain Township is home. In my almost 50 years, I've served on emergency services boards locally, county-wise, in the state, and even nationally. So I'm not new to the game. Now, I prepared a report. Actually, it was much longer, but I'm going to trim it down here. This is in response to some questions. Nick sent me Friday night 6 questions that the board had in mind. And I'm going to read some of this because it was a lot of work dealing with this. This report has been prepared in response to questions submitted to me late Friday night by New Britain Township managers regarding operational, financial, and governance status of Shalbert Regional EMS in preparation for tonight's meeting. My intent tonight is to provide a transparent and comprehensive overview of the organization's current position, the challenges encountered during 2026, the corrective actions taken by the board of directors and the management, as well as our plans moving forward. My original presentation was nearly 20 minutes long. My wife told me to knock it off. So this is going to be hopefully shorter. First question on this, and I'm going to have the questions here. The first question presented was, 2 audits are occurring in parallel. What is the scope of these audits? Who is performing them? And when are the results expected? I don't even understand that question. 2 audits being conducted in parallel is, it's not logical. There is an audit being conducted by
Yeah.
Dunlop, who is your auditor as well.
Mhm.
Now, the confusion might be.
So I'm going to ask just for one moment, Mike, I'll let Stephanie ask. She's the one who provided some of these questions, just so you can understand where some of these questions came from.
So that question in particular came from a statement that was made at the New Britain Borough Council meeting last Monday by another board member of Shalbert. And I found it confusing as well, which is why I was asking for
Yes.
clarification as to what was actually occurring.
I'm glad. The confusion I wasn't at that meeting.
I wasn't either. I listened to it. So
I didn't even
Yeah.
listen. I was warned off. The confusion might be because we have an audit every year. This is not a new thing.
Mhm.
Every year, we have an audit done by Dunlop.
Mhm.
You have a copy of our 2025 or 20, the one done last year. I presented it to Alex myself. We also hired an accounting firm last month to handle all of our accounting going forward. Basically, we're going to make our treasurer irrelevant. this accounting firm is going to be our treasurer. That's Jabril and Abraham in New Britain Borough. She was actually in our office today working. The problem that we had with reports, people, I'm going off script, call me Trump. The problem that we had with reports, people complain, the problem we had with reports that people were going off about is that when I got there in January, they were working with a very old generation of QuickBooks, desktop QuickBooks. And it just wasn't powerful enough to do much of anything. I was able to convince the board to upgrade to the latest version of online QuickBooks. Unfortunately, when we tried to do the merge between the two systems, it didn't work well. Matter of fact, it didn't work at all. So Gibran and Abraham they've almost finished that merge and cleaned that up for us. So I would say before the end of this month, we're going to be able to give some comprehensive reports. Conducting, the audit costs us about $7,000 as it is. We got hit with a letter today from Dunlop that said because of, and she said to us when we had our first meeting, chatter, they have to do a more extensive audit. So it's another $5,000. So when this audit's done, it's not only going to be in your typical audit that reviews compliance and check books and accounts and all that, but it's also going to come out with a opinion on whether or not Shalbrit is a working corporation going forward. We are so much in favor of this, well, except the additional $5,000, but we're looking forward to that audit. One of the questions was, when can we see that audit? I don't know. We don't have control of that, obviously. The audit will be finished when it's finished. It's an independent audit. They're working hard. They're doing extra work. So I would ask if you have any questions or comments about that question any further before I go further.
No, thank you.
That's a great answer.
Thank you.
The second question was billing procedures with the billing company. Was there a problem? And if so, what was it? How has this been addressed? Yes. And during late 2025 and continuing into 2026, Shalbrit Regional EMS experienced a significant disruption in revenue resulting from delays in claims processing by our third-party billing vendor, Cornerstone. They're out in the Harrisburg area. Based on information provided by Cornerstone, the companies experienced substantial staffing shortages that significantly affected their ability to process ambulance claims in a timely manner. These staffing challenges created a backlog of claims awaiting submission to insurance carriers, which in turn delayed reimbursements and negatively impacted the organization's cash flow. It's important to note that the issue was not related to quality of patient care. It was not related to documentation or any services provided by Shalbrit EMS. As reimbursements from the insurance carriers are the organization's primary source of operating revenue, the delay in claim submission created a corresponding delay in cash receipts. How is it addressed? Once the scope of the issue became apparent, the board of directors and management began closely monitoring the situation and maintained regular communication with Cornerstone regarding corrective actions and anticipated timely recovery timelines. According to Cornerstone, the company undertook significant organizational restructuring, addressed its staffing shortages, and implemented measures to eliminate the claims backlog. As those corrective actions were implemented, claim processing gradually returned to normal operations. Today, billing files are being transmitted on a weekly basis and reimbursements are being received on a consistent schedule. This improvement is reflected in our current billing reports and the gradual improvement in cash flow experienced throughout recent months. I will say, I'm going to make this short, we did consider and look into and actually interviewed two other billing companies. To switch billing companies when we already were looking at a cash flow problem would just make the problem worse because it would cause a delay. So many things would have to change over and whatnot. So it was decided, and I don't know if any of you were there that night when Cornerstone came in and did a presentation. I know some of the public was there.
Yeah.
it was decided that we would stick with Cornerstone. We actually made a decision, don't give them 6 more months, see how things go. And if they continue to improve, you know, we'll stay there. It's just, it's a lot of hassle to change and it's not cheap. I will say that in this industry, you know, patient billing is not an easy thing in any medical thing. In the EMS industry, it's even harder. It's multiplied out. You know, we do not have a choice to respond. We have to respond. I can't tell you how many calls we get. Grandpa can't get back in bed. I need help. And that's it. We got to help a guy in bed. That is not, Medicare's not paying us for that one. You know, somebody fell down, can't get up. Medicare's not paying us for that. They have to be transported to a hospital before any insurance company's going to pay. Another problem that's going on with medical billing for EMS, and it's been going on for years, is with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield patients will submit our bill, or we'll submit the bill to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they will mail the check to the patient. Now, the honest ones will send us the check, but that's not always the case. As a matter of fact, you'd be surprised how many people don't, and how many people think this is a source of income for them. Really, they will call us and I need an extra $1,000. Let me call them. So,
Mike, can I ask you a question?
yes, absolutely.
Since you said late 2025, you're starting to have some issues and you saw that, do you see that they will be recouped? Is there a time limit on how long you have to wait for those to be?
It is, they are being recouped. If I don't have the AR numbers with me. I know we went over them with Mary Beth several times. Our AR was through the roof because it's slow. It is coming down, fortunately. But once these things get to 180 days, you know, then they go to our collections agency, and our collections agency, that's another topic.
Okay.
It's difficult. I mean, but we're working on it. We're getting them down. Now, I will, just as a matter of fact, we expect in this industry nationwide to collect on about 78% of what is billed, what is, you know, good bills, you know, good accounts. When I came on and ran the numbers, we were at 72%. Now, I think the last time I checked, it was like 76%. We're coming up. So we're getting there.
You're seeing positive change.
Yes. Okay, although billing delays have largely been resolved, Board of Directors and Chiefs continue to actively monitor billing performance through regular financial reporting and operational oversight to ensure that claims continue to be processed in a timely manner. In addition, the board is conducting an independent evaluation of the organization's current collections vendor to determine whether changes to the collections process could improve overall revenue recovery. That review remains ongoing, and any recommendations will be evaluated based on their ability to improve efficiency, financial performance, and long-term sustainability. I'll tell you, the collection agency has been terrible. We're working on that. We're probably going to change as soon as we talk to a few and see what's going on. Any other questions on that subject?
Thank you.
Question 3, cash flow analysis through the end of 2026. Can you show how you will cover expenses for the remainder of the year? Yes, based on our current financial position, revenue trends, and ongoing financial oversight, Shalbrett EMS anticipates meeting all of its operational financial obligations through the remainder of 2026. And I think, as I said, I think the audit will verify that. The organization has closely monitored its cash flow throughout the year. While delays in third-party billing temporarily impacted revenue collections, our overall financial position has steadily improved as those billing operations have returned to normal. Current financial reports demonstrate that cash balances have been gradually increasing, reflecting restoration of regular claim submissions and reimbursements. In addition, as part of our recent contract with Gibran and Abraham, they are currently merging data from our outdated accounting application into the new application, which will allow us to provide much more comprehensive financial reporting to our partner municipalities on a regular basis. When I first came on board 3 managers ago, Dan Fox was manager, and he was waving at these things at me and said, you know, all I'm getting from you guys is bank statements. And that's true. That's all he was getting because we were unable to produce a decent report. And so I apologize for that, but we fixed it. We're sincerely grateful for their partnership and continued confidence in Shalbrett Regional EMS. I'm talking about the municipalities. Their support helped ensure that emergency medical services continued without interruption while corrective actions were being implemented. Throughout 2026, the organization implemented significant cost control measures, including reducing discretionary spending, postponing non-essential purchases where appropriate, and closely monitoring operational expenses. These measures were implemented without reducing staffing, compromising patient care, or diminishing emergency medical coverage to the communities we serve. As an additional financial safeguard, the Board of Directors applied for an emergency line of credit through First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Approval of this line of credit required the submission of detailed financial statements, organizational records, and supporting documentation for the review of the lending institution. The successful approval of that line of credit demonstrates that the organization met the bank's underwriting requirements and provides an additional layer of financial security should unforeseen circumstances arise. The line of credit was obtained as a prudent financial planning measure rather than an indication of insolvency, as some thought. Although emergency medical services operate in an environment where call volume and reimbursement levels fluctuate throughout the year, the current financial outlook indicates Shellbrook Regional EMS is positioned to meet all its obligations through the remainder of 2026. Any questions?
Sorry, I have one. You said that you did obtain a line of credit. Have you had to draw on that already?
We drew on that line of credit when it was established in February. That's the only time we drew on it. You got to understand something about, medical billing. January and February, whether you're a doctor's office, an EMS, or a hospital, is the worst month for getting reimbursements because people have their deductibles that they have to meet first. So it becomes their responsibility. They're not going to pay us until they meet theirs. So at that time, and because we were trying to recover, we did, hit it for I think it was $40,000 to make sure we can cover our payrolls and whatnot in the meantime. We haven't touched it since. In fact, and I think it's known that once this newspaper article came out about we were looking for $300,000, the bank froze that on us. We couldn't hit it now if we wanted to, although I would imagine that, very soon they'll unfreeze it, but we're not looking to use it, so it doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Fourth question, budget for 2027. When can we expect the draft budget for 2027? The Board of Directors and management, with support from Gibran and Abraham, are actively developing the organization's 2027 budget. Our objective is to present a budget that is accurate, realistic, and fiscally responsible. To accomplish that, several key variables that directly affect the organization's projected revenue must first be determined. The most significant unknown at this time is the level of financial support that will be provided by our participating municipalities during 2027. Because municipal funding represents a predictable source of revenue, those commitments play an important role in developing a balanced operating budget and establishing long-term financial stability. Until those funding commitments are known, any budget projections would rely on assumptions rather than confirmed revenue, reducing the overall accuracy of the budget. As part of our long-term financing plan, Chalfont Regional EMS is considering a request that our participating municipalities consider increasing their dedicated EMS millage beginning in 2027, with the understanding that future incremental adjustments may be necessary to keep pace with increasing costs of providing emergency medical services. While Pennsylvania law permits municipalities to level up to 5 mills for emergency medical services without requiring voter referendum, the dedicated 1/2 mil we receive has remained unchanged since 2008. During that time, virtually every expense associated with operating a modern emergency medical service has increased significantly. Personnel costs, employee benefits, medical equipment, pharmaceuticals, ambulance replacement, fuel, insurance, information technology, regulatory compliance, and training expenses all continue to rise.
I have a question. You're talking about municipal contributions. What portion of the revenue for EMS, Shellbrook?
8.4% of our revenue comes from municipal contributions in 2025.
Okay. And what municipalities do you, because some people may not know, what municipalities do you actually provide service for?
We provide service to New Britain Township, so still New Britain Borough and Chalfont Borough, Silverdale Borough, Hilltown,
Sellersville.
I'm sorry,
Sellers.
Sellersville and Percy. Parts of Warrington, parts of Doylestown. So,
Thank you.
question 5. What happens once Chalfont Borough and New Britain Borough exit? How will their places on the board be filled? How will this affect staffing? How will this impact expenses? This question involves several distinct topics, including operational impacts, board governance, staffing, and financial implications. While some aspects can be addressed based on current information, others remain dependent upon decisions that have not yet been finalized by the municipalities or the county dispatch system. The operational impact differs between New Britain Borough and Chalfont Borough. From an operational standpoint, the departure of New Britain Borough is expected to have a minimal impact on Shalbert EMS. Although the borough has elected to utilize another provider for primary 911 ambulance coverage, Chalfont will still continue to maintain an active presence within the borough through a longstanding contractual relationship with the Delaware Valley University, where we currently provide ambulance and EMS personnel for athletic events, A-Day, commencement exercises, and numerous other events. Those services are independent of 911 operations and will continue. While we're disappointed that we will no longer serve as the borough's primary 911 EMS provider, our commitment to its residents remains unchanged. Should we be requested through Bucks County's mutual aid system, Shalbert Regional EMS will continue to respond whenever called, just as we do for any neighboring municipality. The situation in Chalfont Borough provides a different operational picture because the borough is geographically located within the center of our primary service area. At this time, the long-term operational impact can't be fully determined because the borough's final implementation plan and dispatch assignments have not yet been finalized and made available. Bucks County utilizes a graphic information system, GIS-based dispatching and established response plans to determine the appropriate emergency resources for each incident. Depending on how those response assignments are ultimately configured, there may continue to be incidents where Shalbert Regional EMS remains the closest available transporting ambulance for portions of Chalfont Borough. Until the borough's final operational plan has been implemented, any discussion regarding future call volume or dispatch practices would be purely speculative. Questions?
I just have a question, and a theoretical question. So Shalbert goes, they respond to a call, they drop someone off at, say, Doylestown Hospital. And let's say this is a few months from now. If you are the next closest, if Shalbert is the next closest readily available ambulance, they would still service and provide service to all of the areas if they are the closest. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. It's kind of a moving target. The dispatch system, well, first off, Central Bucks Ambulance, and I know their chief well. I trained him. He was one of my first paramedics. I have nothing but respect for them. But they operate what's called system status management. They move their ambulances around. If an ambulance that's in Doylestown has to go out somewhere and they have an ambulance sitting in Wrightstown, they might move that ambulance into Doylestown to cover the area. So it's hard to predict what's going to happen.
Right.
There's other questions I have I'm not going to bring up here about how this is going to work. But that's up to Chalfont Borough to work that out.
I just kind of wanted to clarify that for the
Yeah,
public,
yeah.
that it is always,
They're going,
for the most part, who's closest and most available to save lives, because that's your goal.
yeah, I mean, it's, I can't say for now, but when I was chief of Chalfont EMS, we could be at Grandview Hospital and dispatching to Percy because we were the closest because we had to be sitting at Grandview.
Right.
So that's the way it works. Yeah.
Thank you.
As far as staffing, at this time, Shalbert EMS does not anticipate any reduction in staffing as a result of Chalfont Borough and New Britain Borough leaving the organization. Our staffing model is based upon providing dependable emergency medical coverage throughout our primary response area and maintaining appropriate system readiness, not solely upon the call volume generated by any one municipality. New Britain Township remains the largest municipality served from our Chalfont station, generating nearly 1,000 emergency responses annually. In addition, we continue to provide first due and mutual aid coverage to portions of Warrington Township, Doylestown Township, and other surrounding communities. Accordingly, the organization remains committed to maintaining current staffing levels and ensure uninterrupted emergency medical coverage for the communities that continue to rely on Shelburne EMS. Financial questions. Based on our current operational analysis, the departure of Chalfont Borough and New Britain Borough is not expected to materially increase the organization's operating expenses. The combined annual call volume generated by those two municipalities represents a relatively small percentage of our overall emergency responses. The loss of calls does not require us to reduce staffing levels, remove ambulances from service, or close our facilities. So there was another question here. No, that's on the next one. Questions?
No, thank you.
Question 6, the last, oh no, there there was a question about how the board position is going to be filled. To the board, the way our board is constructed today, 3 of the positions are from what we call in our bylaws, our principal municipalities, New Britain Township, New Britain Borough, Chalfont Borough. Obviously, the bylaws are going to have to change. When those three municipalities each get to name a representative to the board. We have talked to the representative, the person who represents Chalfont Board, and he has requested to stay on for the time being. We haven't spoken to New Britain's representative yet. We don't know how this is going to work out. We haven't met since all this came down. We do have our next board meeting on the 20th of this month. I'm sure we'll discuss how to handle those seats. We have 7 board seats now, and it's working quite well. And actually, I gotta tell you, the board seats we recently filled, Nick Brady's one. Nick Brady his EMS experience makes me look like nothing. I mean, this man he's been a president of large ambulance services. He got a volunteer medical services course straightened out when they were in a fix. We welcome Neil to the board. Our other new representative is Stephanie Showalter, who happens to be sitting here behind me. Stephanie has a financial background in nonprofits, and we welcome her to the board. Both valuable additions to the board. So, the 6th question: has Shelburne EMS been invited to the Chalfont Borough or New Britain Borough meetings where decisions were made using their service? Quick answer is no. Shelburne Regional EMS was not invited to participate in meetings where Chalfont Borough and New Britain Borough made the decisions to transition away from our organization for primary emergency medical services. There's a lot to unpack on this topic, and I can provide more detail if you wish, but they had their meetings to discuss this in executive session. The public wasn't there. We weren't there. That was their decision. I have my own opinions about things that happened. And like I said, I won't go in, I'll answer questions about that, but no, we weren't involved in any decisions. We weren't invited. Looking forward, although Shelburne Regional EMS is disappointed by the outcome of these decisions, we respect the authority of each municipality to make their decisions it believes are in the best interest of its residents. Our focus moving forward is not on revisiting past decisions, but on continuing to strengthen our organization, supporting the municipalities that remain our partners, and providing the highest level of emergency medical care possible to every patient we serve. Shelburne Regional EMS remains committed to maintaining professional relationships with all the municipalities throughout Bucks County. We will continue to respond wherever and whenever requested through the county's mutual aid system, and remain willing to participate in future discussions regarding regional cooperation, emergency medical services, and opportunities to improve patient care. I'll close with this. The board of directors, the management, and employees of Shelburne Regional EMS remain committed to the mission that has guided this organization for decades, providing dependable, high-quality emergency medical services to the residents of our communities. The challenges experienced during the past year have required difficult decisions, thoughtful planning, significant organizational effort. Through these challenges, our employees have continued to respond to thousands of emergency calls with professionalism, compassion, and clinical excellence. Their dedication, combined with ongoing support and our mutual aid partners and communities members we serve, provides a strong foundation for the organization's future. We appreciate the opportunity to respond to these questions and remain committed to transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility and continued collaboration. We look forward to working with our municipal partners to ensure that the residents of our region continue to receive exceptional medical care. I would just like to add that we only respond with advanced life support ambulances. The only time we send a BLS ambulances out is if we have volunteers who are qualified, they're EMTs, and they want to take a run and it's a BLS run, we'll let them go. But our ambulances that are on call are all advanced life support ambulances. It costs a minimum of $750,000 a year for one BLS ambulance, if it never rolls out the door. You know, once you add on the insurance and all the other business, it gets quite expensive. That's what I have for you. I'm open to any questions.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank you
Thank you so
on
much.
answering all those questions with such great detail and being here today.
Oh, I could have had more details.
Well, I would say, would you share the notes that you have with the board so that we can, since it was a lot of information tonight, if you would share those with us?
I would. I'll give you, I'm going to clean this up and I will
Yep.
I'll
Send it to Nick.
Yeah, I'll send it
Yep.
to Nick.
Thank
Okay,
you.
all right. I have from
I would
anyone
like
else.
to ask you a question about what you were told was the reason that Chalfont and New Britain Borough were leaving Shalbrit.
I can't speak for New Britain Borough because quite frankly, I never talked to them. They never talked to us. I asked to speak with John Wolf a couple times. It never happened. In fact, at the parade in the parking lot, getting ready to set up for the parade, I understood he was there. I went looking for him, couldn't find him. So I can't speak for New Britain Borough. Chalfont Borough is another case. If you remember the meeting in May, when I kind of blew up the board, if you will, after that meeting, I got a phone call from their manager, rambling on about, you're going to be okay. We got you covered. We have a plan. All you got to do is get rid of your chief and everything will be good. That's not a quote. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but that was the gist of it. If you know the man, he can talk. I went to the Chalfont Borough meeting where they voted to use Central Bucks ambulance in place of us. And I stayed after the meeting to speak with their township, with their borough manager. And he told me, and I had heard this before, but he told me directly to my face, our plan was to replace all you municipal members on the board with ourselves. In other words, they wanted to put the Britain Borough manager, Chalfont Borough manager, and somebody from the Britain Township manager, whomever, on our board in place of myself and the other two gentlemen. But New Britain Township blew that up when they refused to pull me off the board. And they made it worse when New Britain Township put two more residents on their board. And that's not true either. Only one of those two people is a resident of New Britain Township. I was a little taken back by that. I mean, I heard that, but you know, you hear rumors, but that came from the man to me that night. So take with it what you will, use it how you will. It was not, I mean, our chief is back there and he will say it's a shady deal.
Sorry, lumpy.
And I know that John Engel is sitting here, and I have no fear saying that to him right now, have him hear that, whether he believes me or not, that's what happened. And he knows I stayed late that night after the meeting to talk with Sean Kern. So
Well, we have separate verification of that through both myself and through Mr. Nagy, who was inadvertently sent to one of the managers group meetings, and came back a little shell-shocked by the plan, which was well publicized, not on any formal method, but it was well publicized that that was the plan and that it was shot down when I refused to even discuss taking you off as our representative since you had been unanimously appointed, had been doing it for all of 5 months and were putting in so much blood, sweat, and tears that I know your wife hates me.
Not just you, he hates the chief too.
Okay, good. We share that. I understand I'm hated by a lot of people, but I'd rather be hated by people than go along with nonsense. So I thank you again. I've done it before. I thank you again for everything you've done for New Britain Township, everything you've done for Shalbrit, and I look forward to a long relationship with the township and Shalbrit.
Thank you. I will just say, I've literally put in the last 6, 7 months, hundreds and hundreds of hours into this organization. You know, in 1978, I watched my next door neighbor die in front of me. I didn't know what to do. Marianne Showalter will attest to this because she was a neighbor who was there. The ambulance that came that day it was a circus. I went to township meeting shortly after that in the old Newville schoolhouse. Bob Cotton was there.
Awful.
And I complained about the ambulance that 1978. And I forget who the township, who was the president of the board at the time. I don't remember the gentleman's name. But after the meeting, Bob Cotton, you'll remember Bob. Bob Cotton came up to me, said, you know, they're just volunteers. If you think you're any good, you could help here. And he handed me an application. The next week, I became a member of Chalfont Fire Company, have been ever since. I'm a veteran life member and, you know, dedicated my life outside of my family, you know, to emergency services in this community. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You can applaud.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add, Mike, thank you for being here and thank you for all the work that you've done. I think it was important for us to do this in a public meeting and to get answers to these questions so that the public knows that we as a board are looking at this and are serious about making sure that our residents are provided with the best service that they can be. And I know some of those questions are tough and pointed questions, and I appreciate you taking the time to answer them. But I think if we didn't ask them, we wouldn't be doing our due diligence as a board. I hope that this was helpful for the public to hear, and I hope that it does give the public confidence that in the service that they're getting from Shalbrit EMS. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We do have 2 people who have signed up for public comment.
I'll wait.
Yep. Mary Margaret Briggs, is your public comment on this item?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Lori, I'm on your side. So I've been a resident of New Britain Township for over 42 years. I have a few questions of the board, I guess, actually. Most of you know that I worked in pharmaceutical clinical research for decades. You may not know that prior to that, I worked as an operating room nurse in Germantown. Gunshot wounds, stab wounds, you know, little things like that. We always work patients often for hours until they were declared dead. I am confused as to why a discussion about ending our EMS relationship is occurring because of Chalfont Borough and New Britain Borough's decision before the patient, being Shalbrit EMS, is actually dead. What do we gain by even considering ending a relationship now? If they die, then we move on. In the meantime, people and residents in New Britain Township have an interest in saving this longstanding EMS, not to mention the CHOP pediatric patients and the senior citizens at New Seasons and Little Farm Estates. I have heard the financial situation has improved, and you've verified that, so there's that. Regarding number 2, I know this is a Chalfont Borough proposal that I've heard out in the rumors. I don't know if it's fact or not, but that they could set up a satellite EMS ambulance in the parking lot of their borough hall. As someone that worked in the pharmaceutical industry for decades, emergency medicines generally should not be stored in an ambulance parked outside if the vehicle's interior climate control is off, as extreme outdoor heat or cold quickly can cause the temperatures to cross safe boundaries. Most pharmaceutical guidelines mandate storage between 59 degrees Fahrenheit and 86 degrees Fahrenheit.
While some will require tighter ranges or refrigeration, unregulated vehicle temperatures can degrade drug potency and render them unsafe. If Shelbrit EMS folds because we pull out, we may need to depend on that Chalfont-Borough satellite. I don't know about you, but I don't want those drugs that have been sitting outside in the heat or frozen in January administered to me. Number 3, access to Shelbrit EMS was one of the main arguments presented by PennDOT in favor of the Bristol Road extension due to comments made by both Chalfont-Borough and New Britain Borough. The current projected project is now over $44 million. When we started discussing it, it was under $20 million. Is it time to tell the PennDOT project manager, Nathan Parrish, of this recent development? After all, by the time it's built, many, many years from now, Chalfont-Borough and New Britain Borough won't seem to need the Bristol Road extension anymore. That's all. And I hope that you vote to hang on to them as long as you can and give them a chance to recover.
Thank you.
I will point out that in Pennsylvania Emergency
clarify?
Services,
Thank you, Stephanie.
I'll say laws, rules for EMS, there are specific temperatures that those medications have to be kept at. It's something like 72 to 84, something. It's a little more restricted than what you said, but yes.
And they don't have climate control over there in their parking lot.
Very important point.
I hope you can see that we are not making any decisions tonight. This is purely for our benefit and for our residents to see the kinds of questions and the kinds of issues that we are considering. We have to ask these questions in a public forum so that you guys can be as informed as we are.
Did Chalfont-Borough do that?
No, I will not answer about another municipality. Okay, our next person who is listed here is Marianne Shawwater.
We heard that, Stephanie. We heard that.
My name is Mary Ann Showalter. I know a lot of you. This is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. 50-year resident of New Britain Township, Bob and I. All the info that has been put out here, the numbers, the this and that, that's for that. I'm here to talk about the personal part of Shelbrit. In those 50 years, 47 of them, we never had to call an ambulance, even with 3 kids. And then when Bob, who most of you know has been battling stage 4 cancer and had a stroke 3 years ago, I've had them here 5 or 6 times. I've had to call them to the house. I don't even want to begin to tell you what it was like at 11 o'clock at night when your husband collapses and you're dialing 911 and these guys come in and the police come in. They are exemplary. There's no other word for it. And they not only took care of Bob and whisked him away and got him to the hospital, but then it was, Mary Ann, can we give you a ride? Mary Ann, what can we do for you? And I said, I'll be okay. I'm going to get dressed and I'll meet you at the hospital. And I get to the hospital and they're there. Are you okay? Do you want us to get you something to eat? And I'm like, seriously? Their care is so incredible. And like I've said, it's been over and over and over. Their main goal is helping people, period, end of discussion. Get the politics and all the crap out of it. They're there to help the people of their coverage area. I think it's so sad that other municipalities have decided to throw politics into this, which never, I'm a nurse, never should you enter politics into any of this. When Mike was talking about back in 1978 with a neighbor.
Bob Burke.
Yeah. I was on call for the OR and the kids come down on their bicycles and they're, Mrs. Showalter, quick, quick. And off I go. Mike's there. This guy, it ended up that he had an aortic rupture. There was no way we could have saved him, but I didn't know that at the time. I'm doing CPR on him. The ambulance comes and I start blasting orders. I need this. I need oxygen at this. I need this. Yeah, well, the oxygen tanks were empty and they had no clue what to do. That's why Mike went to Bob Cotton, because we needed to fix it. And I look at what it was and what these guys have made it now, and the lives that have been saved because of the way they act and what they do. Yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it forever.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I can say that I have used Shelbrit in year 2000 when my daughter was less than 6 months old. Thought she was choking on something, so I have used their services and I pay the subscription every year for our family. So I think that would be those kinds of stories. You need to know that this is how you support your local EMS and your fire. So
I also had an anaphylactic reaction and Shelbrit responded and helped ensure that I'm alive. So
I think it's interesting, if I may, to go back to 1978. Not that particular incident, but at that time, when I joined that fire company, if an ambulance call came in, you didn't have 911. You dialed 822-0766, which was the firehouse. If there was nobody at the firehouse and answer that call, the call would then bounce to an alarm company in Lansdale. That alarm company would push some button and these boxes in our house would go, and then you would respond from home to the, to the firehouse to get the ambulance. Hope to hell that somebody else who's qualified would show up too. That's how it was back then. It was all BLS. When I took over as chief, one of the first things I did was I said, look, this is our goal. If we don't have a qualified crew and station, we are out of service for that period. Some people in the fire company didn't take that well, but we got there. And then we became ALS, and we are what we are today. It's been, the 50 years from beginning to end have been remarkable. And I enjoy every year of it. And I want to, again, say to my wife, who has sacrificed so much for me to do this, and my family, and I thank her dearly. And if
thank you
put
so
up-
much. Thank you. And thank your wife.
And Mike, I hope we do not bother you anymore and good luck with your
Yeah.
personal situation.
I'm basically off the radar for the next 3 weeks, so.
You take care of yourself.
It's,
Thank you.
but I'll be back. Hopefully.
Yeah. I'm just going to open it up and see if are there any other public who would like to make a comment or at all at this time on this subject? No? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for the staff members who are here. We will keep the conversation going. So, all right, moving on to action item C. Consider a motion to authorize drafting and advertisement of an ordinance to adopt the current Uniform Construction Code, UCC series. Nick.
Yes, a much less exciting topic than EMS. We're talking about building codes. This is something, as I've gotten familiar with the township, that was raised internally by staff. Essentially, the UCC is a state level organization that establishes the code series or years of building codes and other trade categories. Essentially, in short, we are out of date. There was a recent update to move to the 2021 code series. That is the current. And it is a best practice recommended by the Township Solicitor's Office to update our ordinance to reflect the 2021 code series. And so that is done by ordinance. And so the initiation of that process is before you tonight. And as it is an ordinance, it would come back to you at a later time for authorization or to enact that ordinance.
Okay, any questions from the board?
No?
No?
Yeah, I was just going to say that you have, in your ordinance, still refers to the Boca Code, which was discontinued in the year 2000. So it's time to upgrade it.
Update.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's very much needed.
All right. So do I have someone who would like to make a motion to authorize the township solicitor and township staff to draft and advertise an ordinance updating the township's adoption and administration of the Pennsylvania Uniform Construction Code to reflect the 2021 UCC code series with amendments?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Awesome. Okay. Yep, Stephanie then.
Okay. Any questions from the public? No? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to action item D, consider a motion to adopt resolution 2026-08, initiating curative amendment process. Randy?
Madam Chairman? Yeah, this has to do with the data centers. Some people may have heard something about that, like it's in the news every minute of every day. In Bucks County, we have a couple of proposals for data centers this year. One was in West Rock Hill and one was in Falls. Municipalities in Bucks have taken two different approaches with the curative amendment process. So the curative amendment process provides the township with 6 months to review the proposed and adopted ordinances throughout Bucks County and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. A developer cannot challenge the township zoning ordinance during the 6-month period. This is significant because if it is determined that the New Britain Township zoning ordinance does not provide for data centers use following a challenge, a data center could theoretically be placed anywhere in the township, even if it's unlikely, but it could happen. Property owners have a constitutional right to use their property for lawful economic uses. Denial of a lawful use anywhere in the township is considered exclusionary and a violation of the takings clause of the Constitution. So by taking the time to review, draft, and tailor a zoning ordinance amendment for a data center use, New Britain Township will be able to properly regulate the location, size, and secondary effects of such use. So if the recommended action is, if the board concurs, would be to make a motion that I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08, declaring the New Britain Township zoning ordinance is invalid as it fails to define a data center use, and direct the solicitor, zoning officer, and township engineer to prepare the necessary zoning ordinance amendment pursuant to Section 6092 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Any questions from the board?
Nope.
Nope. Any questions from the public? Nope. Okay. Please come forward and state your name
Do we want to put this
and
on
address.
there?
Okay.
Hi, my name is Douglas Christie, 120 Glen Drive. I have understood that I've heard on the news and through other sources that you've talked about building a data center in this area.
I
Have
can't,
not.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Sorry. You guys have talked about building a data center in this area, or if there's been talk of it. Has there been any plans to move it into the area or like subsequently in any of the open space that we have around here? Because I'm just worried about the environmental impacts that
Well, this ordinance, so the answer is no, but this ordinance prevents any such thing for 6 months.
Okay.
So it's basically a 6 months moratorium while we get it up to snuff. And we can provide all kinds of appropriate restrictions and what have you. So it makes it, depending on the direction of the board, which I think I know what it is, it makes it less likely and desirable for a data center to probably want to move into our township.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
There's no pending application.
There's no-
There's nothing in the pipe. There's not even a concept plan. Staff has never
Yeah.
met.
All right.
Usually zoning
Right.
officer, my officer approached
Right.
by a developer. We've never had that. This is being proactive. The board's being very proactive, I think, along with other municipalities.
We're doing this with all the ones that we represent, sort of heading it off at the pass
That's good to hear.
before it happens. In other words, we don't want to be caught, you know how a lot of times you say, oh, we can't do anything?
Mhm.
Well, we can, and we're going to do
And
it.
that's good to
The
hear.
board has instructed us to do it ahead of time, assuming it's passed tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So much.
Madam Chair, briefly, for any members of the public, if this passes tonight, just a brief note on kind of process moving forward. As the solicitor said, there's a 6-month period. Because this is a zoning ordinance, the law has a role for the planning commission to play in the development of this. Residents can expect probably later this fall for there to be public discussions specifically about this topic before it eventually comes back to this body for final legislation.
Exactly right.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against? None? Motion passes. Okay. Moving on to action item E. Consider a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-9, updating fire company dispatch assignments. Nick?
Yes.
And
The fire chief did have to run out. I believe his deputy chief is here if there are specific questions. As I've gotten to know this community and some of our emergency service leaders in this community, one issue that came up both from the Chalfont Fire Company leadership as well as Hilltown Fire Company is there is a small, I guess you can call it discrepancy or a kind of a dual dispatching practice that has been in place for some time, to where essentially, in short, the Chalfont Fire Company is responding to some of the kind of more nuisance calls like alarms or kind of the non-critical emergencies when they really don't have to because it's Hilltown's primary territory in this township. Both fire companies independently raised this with me during my initial meetings with them. Everybody agrees, including our township fire marshal, that this is a desire to have changed. Ultimately, this will have a less of a burden on the Chalfont Fire Company. By law, the township is responsible for dictating who responds to which areas in the township. And so this must become a policy decision of the board. If you wish to move forward and adopt this resolution, I will carry out this action with County Emergency Services.
thank you. Deputy Chief, is there anything you'd like to add? Please come forward if you want to.
The chief had to leave and kind of puts me in the spot here.
Yeah.
My name is Mike Benner. I'm the deputy fire chief. So for a number of years, I believe it was a past township manager at one point in time in coordination with the New Britain Township Fire Marshal at the time, had added us to all the calls in New Britain Township coverage area because of some discrepancies between Hilltown and the township. So it's been a number of years, probably close to 10 or 15 years we've been doing this dual dispatch. I run a business in the industrial park, so I can tell you we're there quite a bit. This will just take some of the burden away. We've seen about a 20 to 30% increase in call volume just in the last year and a half, just across all of our coverage areas. So again, we're constantly drawing at the volunteer organization. There's a lot of calls, like I said, that Nick has said, there's a lot of nuisance calls, wires calls as an example. With some of the crazy storms we've had recently, there's been a bunch of calls just on Treewigtown Road alone, probably between 5 and 10 this year. We're dispatching multiple fire trucks for a wire incident, which generally can be handled with either just a chief officer or one fire truck. So we're just trying to help lessen the burden on both fire companies and try to slim it down as much as possible.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board?
So this would just have one company responding, right? And then unless you needed a multiple company response, which is a different situation. This is not what we're talking about.
Correct. Yeah. So this is just for what we would consider like our local boxes, which is a small, one fire company is going to come out and help out. Anything that's major fires, wires inside of a house that are burning, things like that, we're automatically going to dispatch each other as assistants, because generally we'll need additional apparatus and additional manpower. But for one small calls, alarm systems that go off, things like that, that's what this is designed for around.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure our public was aware, not alarmed.
No problems.
No pun intended with alarms. No pun intended.
It's cute.
Anybody else?
No.
No?
Thank you for the explanation.
So do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-09, updating the fire company dispatch assignments?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? No. Thank you very much. Okay, action item F, consider a motion to allow public works employees to respond to select emergency calls during working hours. Nick?
Yes, big night for emergency services tonight.
It is.
This item before you, this is a common practice in Pennsylvania municipalities where individuals who are certified to act as firefighters who also work for a township public works are permitted to respond for significant incidents. And generally speaking, all fire companies especially tend to struggle the most for their volunteer coverage during the daytime weekday hours, coincidentally when we already have paid employees on the books. I have been working with Township Labor Council to craft a policy that would essentially provide some liability coverage for the township, such as if there was ever an active work scene that if the employees were to leave, it would create a hazard to the public and basic things like that, and establishing some basic working parameters and covering things like workers' comp. We do currently have 3 employees who are volunteer firefighters in other areas. This is something that has come both from the fire company as well as internally from those employees. And this would be something they can avail themselves. They would have to join the Chalfont Fire Company, which services the vast majority of this township. And they would be able to respond again during the daytime workday hours for those kind of significant calls where there would be kind of an all hands on deck response.
Okay, so they could still be part of their own home fire company during out of office hours, but while they're here, they would respond to Chalfont.
Yes, essentially, they would still be able to be paid employees of the township. They would not be losing any compensation anyway, be able to respond to the emergency incident in the interest of the public. And this is a very easy way for the township to further support our local emergency services.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
I'll just bring up that we used to have this policy years ago. I don't know if it was ever put into formal writing. Because years ago, when our public works were just starting out, I mean, the fire company was right in the same building up there, so, they could readily go out.
Just never formalized.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, my understanding was the previous administration felt differently about this policy, but in my own experience in consulting with our township council, that we do believe that there is a way to effectuate this program without creating liability.
All right, thank you. So do I have a motion to adopt New Britain Township Volunteer Firefighter Response Policy for Public Works employees?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Is there any public comment about this? Should be. No? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay. On to action item G. Consider a motion to temporarily suspend ordinance 16-210 to temporarily allow for the possession and consumption of alcohol at North Branch Park for the duration of the fall 2026 event, Fall Fest.
On
September
19th, September 19th,
Okay,
sorry.
September-
Oh, it's not written there.
It's not written there.
Sorry, it's in your motion.
2026.
Yeah, it's in your motion. Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
did you want it?
Sorry, appreciate it. So this is a discussion item that came internally as our staff is getting ready for Fall Fest, which is September 19th here at North Branch Park. Currently, our township ordinances prohibit the possession, consumption of alcohol at all township properties, which is a standard practice. There are some communities who choose to have alcohol present for their community events, and just as a best practice, especially for our police department's sake, officially waiving this ordinance for a very limited scope period of time to not create an internal conflict. We do not yet have a confirmed vendor to sell alcohol at this event. This is simply just to clear an administrative hurdle. Although this is something that if the board is of interest in this topic in the future, if we aren't successful this year, we're happy to put in some additional legwork to make sure we get some vendors for next year.
Okay, and this is will be only for people to buy alcohol, not to bring alcohol with them from home?
Yes, correct. So we would be working with a vendor who has all of the necessary licenses and approvals. This is not a bring your own situation. This is simply to purchase and consume from vendors who are participating at the official event.
All right, and Chief, I know that you are mentioned in the memo. Is there anything you would like to add?
No, we discussed it. I've seen it in other townships. We don't have an issue with it. Typically, when people are coming to these types of events, they don't come to get drunk. But if there's the opportunity to enjoy a beverage while they're walking around, it's okay.
Okay, all right. Any other questions from the board? No? Any questions from the public? No? So do I have someone who will move to temporarily suspend ordinance 16-210 to allow for the possession and consumption of alcohol at North Branch Park for the duration of the 2026 Fall Fest event on September 19th, 2026? Do I have a second?
Oh, I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Action item H, consider a motion to authorize the township engineer to conduct a traffic study on Maple Avenue.
That H or H? What was that?
H.
H, right?
H. It's just automatic. Make me think about it. I'll go, what did I say?
You were great.
All right, that's good. I'll take this one. The board and the township staff had asked our office, specifically Leslie Borganoff, our traffic engineer, to review the Maple Avenue traffic study or report that the New Britain Township Police Department Highway Safety Unit prepared a while ago. I think it was back in January here. I did hold on to a little bit because as we move forward, we haven't had one of these requests in quite a while. Leslie and I probably provide a little more detail than we typically would, but it's the opening to a traffic study, and we have not considered one of these before. I also wanted to wait until Nick got on board, and then Alex and I spoke a little bit about providing some estimate on costs. So you have before you tonight a letter from Leslie and myself. Actually, I made Leslie sign it since it's traffic, so from a liability standpoint. What we did is we did review the highway safety report. We concur with their recommendations on speeding on Maple Avenue. There's also some truck issues there on with cut through, and all the information provided from the highway unit warrants a further investigation and actually engineering study. The engineering study would also include to enforce truck restrictions. You need to have a engineering study performed when we look at the speed. So it's a dual study. It's a little more expensive to do that, but that way your ordinance, if anybody is stopped, the chief and his team pull anybody over any trucks, you have an engineering study that would be on file and will be referenced to enforce those tickets. I did summarize a little bit. The speed, 85th percentile of speeds on Maple Avenue were 39 miles an hour, and its posted speed's 25. So as the chief's team did mention, that's significant as far as a residential neighborhood. And it's a narrow road. There's not, I think I've mentioned in other meetings, there's not a lot to do other than traffic calming. The road's already significantly narrow, so to be a wider road, you have higher speed. So we did provide some recommendations. I'm not prepared to go into all this tonight. I think Leslie should be here once we do a study. She can go over more detail, and we can do a Q&A. I did speak with Public Works, and the chief and Nick were also involved, and I think we have a game plan. I would recommend you authorize us to do the traffic calming policy as well. The traffic calming policy, although it's not a PennDOT road, PennDOT does look at that what criteria you're providing. We're not just willy-nilly picking which roads we want to do traffic calming. And as I discussed with staff, and I think they're supportive, it provides a criteria for Public Works, the chief, and my office say, okay, it meets this criteria. Let's take a next step further and get the board supervisor involved and do the same thing that we're doing tonight, which is the first step of moving forward with the study. So I think that takes out the favoritisms, why are you doing it in this neighborhood and not this neighborhood? It does not mean that just because it meets that criteria that your the board will approve it, but it's at least a step for the staff to evaluate it. And I still think it should start with the chief. I think the report they do saves you a lot of money. Other municipalities do not have that. Most of mine do. So I really appreciate all the data. I think the cost could be even less once Leslie, if authorized tonight, I think Leslie could get together with the chief and the safety unit, maybe see what you guys could do versus us, and save a little money there. If the board concurs, I would recommend you move to authorize Gilmore Associates to coordinate with the New Britain Township Police Department, Public Works to prepare a traffic calming policy, followed by completing an engineering study on Maple Avenue.
Do I have a motion?
Oh, I have a question.
Let's take your motion first.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, now you can ask.
I can ask my question. All right, sorry. So just my question is, as it pertains to time of the year for when Leslie and the team will be completing the traffic study, the preference would be after Labor Day, when school is back in session and all of the.
Yeah, I think.
There's a lot of people
actually-
on vacation, so I have seen significant decrease in volume, which is normal. And I just want to get an honest outlook of what this is like.
This isn't a large project, so typically we do even multiple ones. I'm sure the chief agrees. You'd rather do it when school's in session and we see the full impact. So it doesn't surprise me during the summer that it's.
Yeah, and there's numerous school children on this road. And also, just in case anyone's wondering, yes, I live on this road, but this issue has existed long before I lived there, and I was not the one making the complaints and asking for the study. I did ask at one point, but it was not me who ultimately did it.
And this was something that I pushed for also because a number of years ago, when I was knocking on doors around Maple Avenue, is the one complaint I heard constantly. And just going to mention, there are several other roads in the township that this traffic calming policy would apply to. And we will, that are used as cut-throughs and people pay no attention to the speed limit. So this will be very helpful moving forward to help other neighborhoods too.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Any other questions from the board? No? Any questions from the public? Please come forward and state your name.
Good evening. My name is Rob Livesey, 314 Dorothy Lane in New Britain Township, excuse me. I'm also a member of the Planning Commission. It seems to me what Mary Beth says is accurate. You can't just single out Maple Avenue. You got Schwartz Avenue there. You've got all those that people cut through. And if something happens to Maple, and I'm a guilty party, so if you're looking for me, it's. I mean, it happens. Nobody wants to wait at that light if they're in a hurry.
The right to remain silent.
Yes, it's a one-off thing, and you need to look at 3 or 4 cut throughs there because
Absolutely.
it's the same problem.
So I think that's what the calming policy that they would draft would help us do.
Yeah, it can't be just Maple.
Nope, absolutely not. I agree.
Well, this is only for Maple, and that you're going down the path of prior staff. We haven't done traffic calming since I've been here. It's been a while. That's been a while. I hear both sides. I think it's warranted in certain places, but what happens is that it'll push the problem to another street. And
Yeah.
there are certain places where we definitely need traffic calming, but it has to really be analyzed, and it can't just be, well, this street has it, so I'm next door, so now I want it. And you're going to encounter that a little bit. I think Nick has dealt with that in his other townships, so he can guide you. But I think it's time for us to take the next step on policy. And, it's not just like, there's no guidance at all at the township level.
So we
I would just really recommend that you consider the impact on the other streets through there, because it'll go to Swartz, it's going to go to Hamilton, every one of those. And then you're getting bigger neighborhoods through there that, people are going to be complaining about. And there's more school bus stops, and you got a post office right there. So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a motion.
Do every street.
Any other public comment?
I know you're talking about Maple Avenue and you've been talking about cut-throughs. Can we talk? Mary Margaret Briggs, it's recorded. Doesn't matter. Park Avenue, Speedway, that needs to be studied too. I know it's PennDOT Road. I know it's more complicated, but the Speedway is ridiculous.
Thank you. Right. Any other public comments? No, I call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Action item I, discussion of a public comment policy. Nick? Randy.
Hi, I'm here. Hi. Well, we've never really had a formal policy. Every township has it, but you can have one now too. We looked at all the municipalities you represent. Fortunately, there's quite a number of them. And you never had any time limits, rules of decorum, sign-up sheet, comments addressed to the chair, no speaking from the floor, no verbal harassment or attacks. So this deals with that. This permits anyone who wants to say whatever they want to say, as long as they stay within the guidelines. So it doesn't impede, it just keeps order. And they have basically 3 minutes to say what they want. And the chair, in his or her discretion, can grant another couple of minutes, up to 5 minutes, but no more than that. You can't attack somebody, or a member or a staff person and what have you. You can question things, you can do anything you want, but the chair is given authority to take away the person's right to speak if they violate this proposed New Britain Township Board of Supervisors meeting public participation policy. And that's what this is. I mean, I can read the whole thing, but I don't think
It's okay.
I don't think anybody wants me to do that. It's like 2 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
For your consideration this evening.
There is one typo, if I may, in number I. At each meeting, members of the public may comment
Where's
on
it?
an action item.
Where, I'm sorry.
Okay,
That
the very
has been
first-
pointed out to staff.
Okay, cool.
Oh, the public.
So can we pass it with corrections?
Yeah, with that, as corrected.
Justin had sent over edits that, well.
I think we have the revised one that we
Yeah.
sent over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I have a revised version from Justin that
We-
he sent over, so we have,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, great. I'm only looking at the one that we have.
Yeah, well, the one you have is not. Fortunately, we caught it before, but
All right. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Had asked for this to be developed because every place I go, there's a policy by the municipality on public comment. And given that our society is becoming more and more divisive, and earlier incident this year where people were coming back and adding on to their comments and trying to address them, the members of the public. I did not want to see this public meeting comment devolve into some sort of fight as opposed to commenting to the board and to administration. So I'm glad we're getting this in place.
Okay. Any other questions? No?
No.
Is there anything public would like to say? No? Do I have a motion to adopt the New Britain public comment policy with the red line corrections already given to our staff?
I'll make the motion.
Terrific. Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay. J, discussion of the 2027 budget calendar. Nick, Alex.
So internally, we are making great progress on the preliminary budget. But before we finalize the public-facing calendar for budget events, Nick and I just wanted to check in with the board first. I know I wasn't here last year for the budget process, but I believe that historically, New Britain Township held 2 Tuesday morning work sessions, one in September and one in October, as public budget work sessions. We just want to know if this model is still working for you, or if you'd like to see any changes in terms of timing, format, or frequency. Ultimately, we want this process to be as transparent and accessible as possible. So your input definitely matters before we set these dates in stone, but we're happy to answer any questions. I just wanted to turn it over to the board for discussion.
And this is not to say that any practices you are comfortable with or used to need to be changed, but simply before we finalize things and really start rolling up our sleeves at the public level, it's already been underway at the staff level. We just wanted to kind of open this dialogue with you all to see if there's anything you would like to share with us as far as expectations for the process.
Would the first day meeting, would that be the first time we talk about the budget, or is that the second sort of time we talk about the budget?
Being the first, what you would typically have is like a Tuesday morning in September. That is our intent to be the first,
The very first
meeting.
time we talk
Mhm.
about budget? Okay.
unless you would like to talk about it sooner.
Talk about what, I'm sorry.
Unless you would like to discuss the budget sooner at a public meeting.
Oh, no. I don't think we have anything to discuss if we don't know about it. Yep. My only comment would be that because both of those are held during the day, that does preclude a lot of people from being able to attend a preliminary budget discussion.
That was also my only thought was maybe do we think about doing one during the day and one during the evening? And I don't know, is there a great public desire to come to the budget meeting? You're welcome to.
I think traditionally we've used the daytime ones to have our staff here during regular working hours to be able to have them address us about the budget. And then there still is opportunity at the evening meetings to address, make sure that the public's aware of all of that too.
Thank you for, yes, remember that.
So, I mean, to the extent that we still want to hear from the staff, I think it makes sense to have those as daytime meetings, and I think it's helpful to have them here in front of us. And then obviously the evening meetings would be much of the same information being discussed, but we have already received it from our staff.
If you would like, one option to consider or that you have at your disposal is to either make one of your currently advertised Monday evening meetings either in part or in whole just about the budget before you actually do kind of the formal adoption process in November. If you wanted to dedicate a September, October meeting, you certainly could.
Good thoughts.
I mean, I think that's a good idea. I like that suggestion for an adjustment.
Okay. Great. Well, we can plan to finalize the calendar with some actual dates and plan to discuss that at the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're on to informational items. A, engineers report.
You have, thank you, Madam Chair. You have our July engineers report. I was just trying to look, just one update that came in. The revised plans for what we're calling the Walnut Street Warehouse Project. Hanover developer, they did submit a quite large package, and I think we worked out the schedule that Planning Commission that will be presented at the September 1st Planning Commission, and then one of your, I think you're having two meetings in September. We'll figure out which meeting. The developer only granted a 60-day time extension. So I have with me tonight a 49-page response letter to my review letter that I have 3 weeks to do a full new review and get a new letter to the township for Planning Commission. So I hope they're listening to that tonight because my staff's not too happy. Your planner, your traffic engineer, Doreen, Janine, myself, Tim, we all have to meet that deadline because your time clock expires in September. So I believe the Planning Commission was, hopefully everything's worked out, but we had a schedule for September 1st to give myself another week just to try to get through everything. I know your solicitor, and I know Scott's not here tonight, so Randy's not aware, but Scott believes there's some case law that we should have more time. He'll deal with that when we get close to that, but they did acknowledge they still have zoning issues. And they did acknowledge they'll comply with the building height on the plans. I did see that today. And if they need to get further approval from DEP and FEMA for encroachments, they'll do that. So they acknowledged the zoning issues, but there's still a lot to work out. But they will be on no matter what on September 1st for Planning Commission. So if everybody asks about the warehouse, that's when to attend. So that's my only update. Everything else is up to date in my July's report. Entertain any questions.
I'm going to ask about the plans for that Walnut Street. When would they be put onto our website at all for public consumption?
I guess you do, Doreen gets you those. Well, yeah, so they're still, we have the plans. In fact, technically they weren't even accepted as complete yet because they need to pay the fee and the escrow. So even though it's submitted last Tuesday, we're now almost, this is where the time is ridiculous, and it's all on the board staff to make sure we hit all the timeline. So yeah, that plans can get up there. They're quite large. The reports are this thick. So I've never had a 49-page response letter to my letter ever. We're gonna have to figure out what to do. It's a large project, and I think they got my message to give me everything, but they gave you everything.
Also, if anybody.
Environmental reports, community assessment reports, traffic studies, everything, stormwater. I think that might be in there too. That's all I have.
Can we get the community assessment and the environmental reports sent out to the supervisors and the EAC and?
That's up to Nick and his staff.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Hmm.
Okay. Board of Supervisors comments. I'll start with Stephanie down the other end.
You have to warn me when I'm starting. No, I don't think I have any comments at the moment.
Okay, Bill?
I'll pass this one.
Mary Beth?
I have no comments.
Okay. Bridget?
I was just going to say it's been a big EMS night, so thank you especially to all our staff, not just EMS, sorry, all the first responders, fire, everyone. Thank you to all our volunteers. Thank you for all of our people who are working in paid uniform positions, who respond to all of those things. We really, truly appreciate you.
Thank you. I think I am the same. It's been a long night. Okay. On to public comment with non-agenda items. Please come forward and state your name.
Mary Margaret Briggs. I am standing to object to the board holding a vote to replace the chair tonight when this item was completely omitted from the 24-hour advance agenda. Under Section 712.1 of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act, the board cannot take official action on a matter missing from the published agenda without first holding a public vote to amend the agenda, as well as stating a specific reason for the addition. Because the board skipped this mandatory step entirely, the vote taken on this matter earlier during the meeting is a statutory violation and legally invalid.
Normally I wouldn't comment. You say whatever you want. This is an exception to the sun. This doesn't apply. This was not agenda item. This is not township business. This is strictly between the supervisors as to whom they wish to be their chair. And as such, it doesn't need to be. And so that's the reason why.
I won't debate you.
We're not going to debate. We're not.
No, I won't
back.
debate you, but there's other Pennsylvania
I'm well
House.
aware of that, but this is an exception to that. There's no requirement for that.
Okay. Any other public comment? No. Okay, moving on to announcements. Announcements. A, Environmental Advisory Council meeting, Wednesday, August 5th at 7 p.m. Board of Supervisors meeting, Monday, August 17th at 7 p.m. Parks and Rec Commission meeting, Tuesday, August 18 at 7 p.m. Veterans Committee meeting at Wednesday, August 19 at 6 p.m. Zoning Hearing Board meeting, Thursday, August 27 at 7 p.m. And the all-encompassing Planning Commission meeting, Tuesday, September 1st at 7 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:56 p.m.?
So moved.
All those,
I'll second.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We will see everybody on August 17th at 7 p.m. for the next Board of Supervisors meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.